Orange Weekly, fans, brews, and Broncos news. I'm on mute. We're going to start this all over again, everyone. How y'all doing? Let's go Broncos. My name's Kevin. Welcome to the Bourbon Broncos OWBN show, the Tailgate Talk, live 1 hour for kickoff. I had a great intro, guys. It was fantastic. You missed it. It might have brought some of you to tears just because of how beautiful it was. But we're just going to pretend that didn't happen. Let's hear your comments. Let's hear your questions. Everything you're expecting from this upcoming game, Broncos versus Saints. Bo Nix is set to have a good night, I believe. We'll talk about why. Victory lap. Let's go, Bo. It's great to see you guys here. And at the end of the show, we'll get to some score predictions where, if you guess correctly, you might be winning some Broncos swag from all of us here at Bourbon Broncos and OBS. But you're going to have to guess on the Broncos to win and get that score correctly. We'll get that here at the end of the show. So let's hear it, guys. What are you thinking? I know the Broncos are coming off a very tough loss against the Chargers. It was, interesting to see what happened there in the fourth quarter last week. Obviously, a lot of garbage time situations, but the Broncos did get rolling either way. Obviously, the loss of Pat Surtain last week was detrimental to the team. When you lose that star player that early in the game, it really just it hurts everything. But now we've had, time to game plan without Pat Surtain. He is out tonight. We'll get to the inactives list here in just a second. That's probably going to be the biggest one for the Broncos. But the Saints are pretty beat up too. So let's actually get right on into that. I'll bring Gary to tears, but not for beauty reasons. That's acceptable. That's fine. Let's see. What do you mean victory lap? A.T. Perry in. Is that a player name? Let's see for the Saints. Yeah, we'll go over the inactives list here right now. So for the Broncos, we'll start with, again, Pat Surtain, QB Zach Wilson. He's just the emergency third quarterback. The cornerback, Chris Abrams-Drain, he's just usually a healthy scratch for the team, just based off of depth. Now, where we're going to hurt is Alex Palczewski, our tackle, once again, is out. We're expecting him back in the game against Carolina. However, that does mean that with him out and McGlinchey, McGlinchey was brought up off of IR. So even though Palczewski's out, we do have Mike McGlinchey back. I forgot about that. He was reactivated today. He is not on the inactives list. So we are expecting Mike McGlinchey to be playing today, and that is huge for our offensive line. We're still struggling with the injuries in the center there. With Alex Forsythe starting again, Luke Wattenberg still out in IR. So we're going to wait for him to come back. Also for the Broncos, continuing for the inactives, Greg Dulcich, again, healthy scratch. So we're going to see more Luke Kroll. Hopefully we can get more tight end involvement in this game because that's been lacking tremendously. But then DeAndre Tillman, outside linebacker, depth, healthy scratch. And Uzurke, I always say his name right, healthy scratch as well. Now for the Saints, lots of injuries here. We got Derek Carr, who is out, and that is a big loss for the Saints, obviously. I don't like Derek Carr anyway. I'm not saying I'm happy that he's hurt, but I'm happy that we don't have to deal with him tonight. Tyson Hill, big tight end for the Saints. He is out tonight. Wide receiver, Chris Olave. Linebacker, Pete Werner. I think, Pete Werner's out. Their running back, Jordan Mims. Okay, that's, he's dangerous. He was looking last week, but he's out. And then we got Colleen Sanders and Cesar Ruiz out for the Saints as well. So what does that mean in general, guys? For the Saints, Spencer Rattler will be starting as quarterback. This is just an opportunity for Vance Joseph to go out there and bring that pressure like none other. We should be having a heyday back there because you're also looking at their right guard. Their starting right guard, Cesar Ruiz, is out. And that's going to be a weak spark for him. Landon Young will be starting there in their right guard position. So Look with Baron Browning back as well. We brought him off of the inactives or off of the injury list. So that's huge for us. And let's see, with Baron Browning back, that's huge. Anyway, let's see. Gary, we'll get to that score prediction here at the end. Make sure I remember to pull that up. Anthony, how you doing? Hell, Broncos country, let's go. It is game day, guys. Let's get excited. Let me hear in the comments in the chat what you guys are thinking, what you guys are excited for this game. Let's see. Bo Nix. Let's start talking Bo Nix, shall we? Bo Nix did not have a great week last week. Look, going into the fourth quarter, he was throwing 1.1 yards per throw on average. 1.1. Yes, he ended the game at 5.5, but again, that was a lot of garbage time. Chargers essentially were doing nothing but try to run the clock down when they were out on offense, and then when they're on defense, they're just trying not to give up the touchdown. So there were a lot of, yes, good passes, good plays. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to overlook some of the plays, the touchdown catches that, Franklin had, that Cortland Sutton had. Those were fantastic. But the first 3 quarters of the game, Bo Nix was not good. A lot of footwork errors. Yes, there were a lot of dropped balls, but he just did not seem comfortable in the pocket at all. It looked like he was scrambling just crazy all the time. And a couple different situations for those or reasons for those potentially. Either way, they need to get shored up because, this is a good opportunity for Bo Nix. The Saints have a lot of injuries right now. Let's see, their right defensive tackle, Colleen Saunders. Okay, that's huge. One of their linebackers, Pete Werner, out. That's huge. Right. They also have some other people on IR that could hurt them. So look, this defense for the Saints is really beat up. This is as beat up as the Broncos have been. The Saints are hurting way worse right now. Okay. So this is a prime opportunity for Bo Nix to go out there in his first primetime game in down there in New Orleans and just light the place up. Just be yourself, right? But there's a lot of questions about what Sean Payton's been doing there too. Need to get this win. Yeah, guys, look, we're 300, but I don't want to be in a position where we're 3-4. Okay. I don't want to talk about next week too much, looking at the JV squad that is the Carolina Panthers. But I don't want that to be a game where we're looking to get back to 500. I want that to be a game where we're looking to go 5-3. But it starts with tonight. We have to go to 4-3 first. So Justin, you're right. We need this win. This is a game that we should win. We're a young team. I can't say that we're a team that, is good enough to, just go out there and be consistent every week. And that's what we're seeing is the Broncos still, they haven't arrived yet. They're not there yet. But if they go out there and they execute, we've seen that they can execute. And if they can do it against teams like Tampa Bay on the road, they can definitely do it against this Saints team. They just allowed 57 points to be scored against them last week. So, right. But this is a situation where if your offense doesn't get going and you're just relying on your defense to score you some points, somebody I saw some video earlier today said it right. Like, let's say this is a worst case scenario and the Broncos maybe squeak out a win with a bunch of defensive points. How would you guys feel? Let me run this by you guys. Tell me how you feel. Broncos win with, let's say, 2 defensive touchdowns, 14 points off of defense, and then only 7 points on offense. Maybe this was from the fan, but I'll ask you guys. So we end up winning like 21-19 or 21-20. Would you guys feel good about that? I wouldn't. I mean, great, we won, but in terms of where the team is offensively, especially, that would be bad. This game, the Broncos score needs to be high this game, because they should be able to get a run game going. They should be able to get these wide receivers open. Bo Nix should be able to be comfortable in the pocket, plant his feet, use good work or footwork, really go back to those basics. We've seen him all throughout college. I mean, we bought him. We got him from the draft being sold on this idea that he was so good at the basics and the footwork and everything. That was definitely not really there last week. So how do we bring that about? Victory lap. Must win. Saints are banged up. Exactly. This is the prime opportunity we have of making something happen. Hey guys, we're going to keep going here, but really quickly, don't forget that we got the halftime hash live at halftime. We are the original live halftime show. So you guys definitely don't want to miss that. As soon as you see halftime has started, go grab a snack, refresh your drink. maybe you grab some of the Breckenridge Distillery Championship blend, refill your glass for the second half. But then as soon as you do that, pull up your phone, pull up Facebook, pull up one of those other places that, maybe it's a red icon with a play button inside of it or something like that where we're live. And check us out then too. So you're going to want to see that. We'll break down everything we saw in the first half and what we need to see in the second half. And so really good time. You guys are not going to want to miss that. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share for the algorithm. Helps us out a ton. That's, if you want to donate to us, we definitely appreciate it. But if anything else, just hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, share it, comment, all that stuff. That helps us out more than anything. Let's see, Keith, let's not start the game off with an interception. Yeah. I mean, you might be asking for a lot there, Keith. I don't know. Look, if Bo Nix doesn't overthrow that ball, it's a great way to start the game. But because it was overthrown, look, you can't let that happen, man. Right? So exactly. If we can go out there and not throw an interception that first drive, I'd say that's a good step in the right direction. Yes, Anthony, that was probably a big reason for the offensive struggles last week. A really big reason. Losing Luke Wattenberg, losing Palczewski, Parrott having to go over there to that right tackle side. It just wasn't good. It was rough. A lot of things were getting back there to Bo Nix, and they were bringing in the pressure. Now, they didn't get a lot of hits. They didn't get a lot of sacks. But that doesn't mean they weren't throwing him off his game. Let's see. Gary, this won't be a cakewalk, more like a cupcake skip. Hopefully. But this is NFL football, and you never know what's going to happen. Some crazy things happen sometimes. Should be a great practice session. Man, I don't want to get too cocky, dude. We just got our butts whooped last week. I don't want to say that. Look, the Saints are coming off a big loss too, right? They're trying to get something going, and they are so beat up. They're looking for anything positive. They see that the Broncos are also hurt as well, so they're trying to take advantage of them being the home field or having the home crowd. Being at home on the short week is always an advantage just by itself. And if they can make that happen, that's big news for them too. So they're equally desperate for a win this early in the season. I think we got a little bit of a special guest here. I think we'll bring him on. I don't know if you guys have seen him before. Maybe you have. Jared. Mr.
Jared. Yeah, that's it. What's going on,
buddy?
I'm doing all right. Thursday night game. I know you've talked about it now for about 15 minutes, so I don't want to steal any of much of your thunder, but short week, man. I hate short weeks. Just hate them.
Yeah. I'm glad this happens really only once a year.
Yeah, and this is one of those that when you look at the schedule, you always dread coming to this week, and now it's here. So we'll see how it turns out for us. I think we're in a better spot than we imagined at 500 going into this game. I don't think anybody really expected us to be at 500. That last game was. We won't talk too much about that one, but we really are have a lot of hope for the Denver Broncos Vice being in that. This is just another rebuilding year. We actually have a chance to win this game. Yeah, both teams are beat up pretty heavily. Luckily for us, I'm not sure if you talked about the injuries coming back today. So we have Mike Lynchy coming back, Damari Mathis and Barrett Browning both coming back, which is nice. Specifically on the defensive side, that's huge for our defense with PS2 out. However, obviously PS2 is still out. Then on the right tackle side, Mike Lynchy. I did not expect him to be back after they took him off of IR on Monday. I wasn't expecting him to be active for this game, but he is. So we have our right tackle back. So that's helped protect Bo a little bit more.
For sure. Hopefully help him settle down in the pocket a little bit more as well.
Yeah.
Anthony here, and I want to hear from you. I know we touched on it just a little bit ago, but definitely want to hear your thoughts on this. Defense getting started early in the game, not really waiting for those slow starts and waiting for something big to happen. We don't have PS2 to get that big interception to finally fuel us, right? So, I mean, man, what are you expecting from this defense to come out? What do they need to do to start strong?
Again, it's a short week. It sucks too, right? We're going up against Spencer Rattler, which I think is probably the best case scenario. If we were going up against Derek Carr, this would be a whole different story as we talk about getting ready for this game. But we're not. So we're going up against Spencer Rattler in the offense. Obviously, the big key here with a lot of injuries on the offensive wide receiver front for the New Orleans Saints is stop the run. We need to stop Alvin Kamara from getting big chunk yards. If we can do that, I think we can get in the backfield to rattle Spencer Rattler a little bit into making a mistake. But we have to do that. I don't know if it's going to be early. I think early we just need to get him a little bit rattled, know that we're there, and then he'll make his mistake on his own as a rookie. But that's going to be the biggest game plan for the defense. I think the defense in general plays so well because they not that they give up too many big plays, but they don't give up the big plays, right? And they keep everything in front of them, and they just wait for someone to make a mistake and then they capitalize on it. And that's what the defense has been doing all season. We didn't see it much against the Chargers, specifically for the first part of that game, because they were waiting for the mistake to happen, and the mistake didn't happen. And I think that in this game, it's going up against our defense going to be the best in this game because of the Spencer Rattler situation. And our the wide receivers, having PS2 out for this game specifically, their wide receiver 1 and 2 are both out. So I think it's a good, Chris Olave is out as well. So I don't know, it's a big piece here. I think our defense is going to be able to capitalize on the mistakes that the Saints, I'm hoping, make. Because remember, as much as we hate the short week, they do too, right? It's not, we're not alone in this, right? The preparing for the other team's tough on both sides of the ball. So yeah, I'm hoping this isn't one of those I don't know who said it in the chat. I think it was something like it's going to be a Pac-12 game or a Pac-10 game, Big Ten game.
Yeah, it won't be a cakewalk. It'll be a cupcake skip.
Yeah, I think somebody said something earlier too about it's going to be a 12-10 game or something stupid. But and it's in the Superdome, so we don't have to worry about weather. So there's that as well. I think we're getting some key players back. Obviously, our main key player that we want back is back, but we're getting key players back that we were expecting not to have at the beginning of the week. So I think that's going to play in our favor. And maybe, I don't know, maybe this is one of those games that they come out and show us they can do it.
Right.
That'd be great.
Kind of like what they did in Tampa Bay. They just went out there and they made it look like they'd been doing this for years. It was nothing to them. The way that Bo was throwing down the field, the catches they were making, the run game, the defense firing on all cylinders. It was lights out good football, And so we've seen that we can do it. Just take the opportunity we have here to go do it again. This isn't even the Buccaneers. This is a beat up Saints team.
Right.
Let's see. Keith, do you think Sean will run up the score because it's the Saints? I'm going to say if he has a chance to run up the score against any team that's his opponent, he's going to do it.
I don't think he's going to talk about running up the score. He's going to go with what works, and he's going to not stop going with what works. If we're up by 20, if we're up by 30, he's going to keep going to those plays. And I'll say this, and I know that we don't get into our prediction here for another 30 minutes, but I'm expecting a big game out of Javonte. The fumble last week was ill-timed, unfortunately. I think we talked about it on the Tuesday show. Every running back has had some sort of fumble in our backfield, which kind of is rough for us. But I think Javonte is due for a big game. I thought it was going to be last week. It wasn't. This week is another chance for him to come out and show that he's still a running back 1 in this league. And I believe in him. I really do. Obviously, a lot of people are mad about the fumbles. I think he's got 2 on the season. That was and both of them just seemed to come at terrible times. But I think, on a short week, he can fix that and get back out there and run angry like he used to back before the injury.
Yeah. And that's really what's been the biggest thing, disappointment. And maybe not disappointment, that's too strong of a word, but just sad that we haven't seen that from him. Where's that? Okay, you hit me and I'm going to get 5 more yards. Yeah. 3 guys hit me, I'm going to get 5 more yards. They just haven't seen that drive, and it's I know you're still coming off an injury and there's, you got to still work within the scheme and everything like that. But you're right. You're just waiting for him to have that breakout game where he just can get something going, get some confidence going. I think that's what a lot of people on this team right now need, are just opportunities, get things going, get that experience, and get confidence. Hey, Jarhead, almost Navy, not Marines, but close. Miracle Grow for that beard. It looks actually pretty good, man. I like it. It's
gotta get rid of it
nicely.
Gotta get rid of it. Unfortunately, gonna shave this thing off probably tomorrow or Saturday. We'll see what happens, but
I'm sure
maybe for halftime I'll shave half, depending on how the game goes. We'll see what happens.
I like it. Allison, good to see you as always here. Thanks for tuning in, and everyone else, post your comments and questions. We're gonna keep this rolling. Actually, we're gonna get close to the score prediction time here, guys. So Rules for score predictions. One, you have to choose the Broncos to win. Second, you have to guess the right score. If you don't mind, go ahead and get a screenshot of your score prediction if you're correct. That way you can send it to us and be like, hey, Kev Dan, dude, I was right. Where's my swag? And we will send that over to you. It helps me track everything. So make sure you get a score prediction and the screenshot. If you guess the Saints to win and you're right, I don't care. That doesn't you don't get anything. That's not too sad to buy you anything Broncos. So you have to guess the Broncos to win, and the Broncos have to win. It has to be the right score. So let's start breaking it down. I know you gave your score prediction on the pregame podcast, but if you want to break it down again, what are some of the big things you're looking for, and where are we going to end with this game, man?
So what I'm looking for and what I think realistically is going to happen are two different things. What I'm looking for is big starts from the offense and then a big finish from the offense. I think the middle of the game, realistically, on both sides is going to be very, very slow. I think probably a couple scores to begin. First two drives off of either team, I believe there's going to be one or two scores. But then it's going to be kind of boring for most of the game. Both defenses are the crutch of these teams, and specifically ours. And our offense just hasn't shown consistency, unfortunately. And I want to have it. I want to see it. I think this defense is probably one of the better ones to go against as far as consistency goes on the run game. And we've talked about this over and over and over again. Run the damn ball. We need to stop having Bo Nix be our leading rusher. So I believe that we're going to probably stick to that concept. If we end up trying to air it out for 45 times a game again, this is not going to go well for us. But I believe, I actually forget what I said on the pregame podcast, but I believe it was something along the lines of like 26-12 or something, 26-13 or something like that for the Broncos. I do believe we're going to get a couple big touchdowns. I believe Javonte is going to get in. I think it's going to be a bigger run too, more than 10 yards to get into the end zone, not just like a goal line play. And yeah, I think Bo Nix gets another touchdown this week as well.
Look, Bo Nix has been 7 for 1, 7 touchdowns, 1 touchdown in the last 4 games. You know, if that interception he threw at the beginning of last week's game, that is the first one he had thrown in a while. You know, I know he started off the season doing nothing but throwing interceptions, and it took like what seemed forever to throw that first touchdown. But since then, he's gotten quite a few in each game. So I expect a couple more from him tonight.
Yeah, and I'll say this: we looked at the inactives list. Vele is back on the starting squad again, which is good after having a leading. He was the leading receiver. Him and Sutton both had 6 receptions last week. Just an absolute great wide receiver, and I think getting him that game time in these games is big for him and the Broncos. Obviously, Josh Reynolds being out is rough for us. We don't really have too much depth behind him, but I think Bailey is stepping up pretty well. I have not seen him. I've only heard you guys talk about him, and I got to see him last week, and I was like, all right, I like this guy. Let's see if we can get him more involved in the game. Someone I'm disappointed in the wide receiver core is Marvin Mims. Yeah. We have not seen him much at all. I think somebody was telling me that Legwall was on earlier and saying you're probably not going to see too much more involvement from him in the offense, which, you know, it's disappointing seeing how high we drafted him last year. We really were expecting a lot more out of him, but it is what it is. We'll see if we can get him the ball in his hands a little bit more. But yeah, I'm really excited for Vele. Like it's really cool to watch him play.
Look, I mean, the 2 games he's been in, I think he's only had 2 incompletions, and he's been he was targeted 8 times the first game. He was 8 for 8 in the Seahawks game. He was 6 for 8 last game. So yeah, look, this guy is good. The only question is now that I think teams have seen 2 solid games from him, and with Reynolds being out, hey, I think this is a guy we have to kind of maybe game plan against a little bit more, pay more attention to him. So how does he overcome that? Does he still get the ball? Does he still make those catches? Or now that teams are paying attention to him more, does he fall off a little bit? And we're just going to wait and see. And yeah,
as long as Courtland Sutton's healthy, Sutton's healthy, he has nothing to worry about. He is not going to be the number 1 receiver on this team right now, and he's going to get those second guys on him. He's going to get CB2 on him regardless, I think. So that's where he's going to end up stepping up real big time. So he was, I just correct the mistake here. They're both, Courtland Sutton and Bailey had 4 receptions last week. Both of them also had 6 targets. So yeah.
Okay. 4 and 6, not 6 and 8. Okay. But either way, as long as he can stay consistent, I too also really like what I'm seeing from him, you know, and he's making hard catches too. He's stepping up. So he's got a little bit of Courtland Sutton in him in that regard.
Yeah.
Let's see. Good score predictions so far. Anthony 27-13, Angelo 29-23, Keith 31-10. Gary asks, is Bo still the leading rusher? I believe last week he was, at least going into the fourth quarter.
He's not the overall leading rusher. Javonte Williams has 213 yards. Bo Nix has 180. But if we're playing when you play golf and you play best hole, right? If you're playing best hole on this, I think Bo is the leading rusher in at least 4 or 5 of our games.
Right. Yeah.
Or at 3 of them, I know. I think the stat was that for every game that Bo is the leading rusher, we have lost.
Yeah.
So at least 3 of the games, he has been the leading rusher, which is unfortunate. But yeah, Javonte has 59 carries for 213 yards. Bo Nix has 37 carries, and I think only maybe a handful of those, you probably count on 2 hands of those that were like planned for 180 yards.
Yeah. Let's see. So that run game tonight is crucial for the Broncos. Look, I'm going to be a little more optimistic here. I like where the Broncos are. I know they're coming off a tough game and really understanding how big of a game this is for them to put them back in a good position on the positive side of that win-loss record, right? So I expect big things from this offense. I do. I expect them to take a big step forward. I'm looking at something more like 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals. So call it 27-10, maybe 27-13 if they have a little bit more of a run game. Kamara gets going, but I don't expect there to be really anything, from Rattler, other than just us in his face all night long, man. If we don't have, I won't get greedy, 5 sacks. We've done it before, bunch of QB hits.
Yeah, if you guys listen to the pregame podcast, we talked about it. This offensive line's nothing to scoff at, right? That's why Derek Carr was doing so well before his injury as well. This offensive line is actually pretty decent, but I do like the fact that we have Baron Browning back, and I think that's going to be a big difference. I think it's going to be a big difference in getting pressure on the quarterback. I also believe that Vance Joseph's going to bring a lot of pressure. I think one of the biggest things against a rookie quarterback is bring pressure on him, and especially one who's only got a couple starts. Yeah, you want to bring pressure and get in his head early so he doesn't know where it's coming from. Lots of disguises. You're going to see a lot of disguises in the defense. But yeah, 5 sacks. Yeah, that's not overthinking it, I think.
Yeah. But if I think we do that, that means you're getting the backfield a lot. That means you're getting in his face a lot. You're bringing the pressure. And I just don't see him lighting us up. Yeah, we don't have PS2, but that's the biggest one. I think we're out for some revenge. I think this defense is like, hey, last week was a fluke. We're here, and we're gonna make a name for ourselves. All right, Jared. Look, hey guys, really quickly before we do closing thoughts. Again, halftime show. We'll be live, so make sure you come over here, check us out for the halftime hash. Also tomorrow night, Friday night, we'll be doing the post-game podcast live 7 p.m. Mountain Time. So make sure you check us out then. If you missed that, you can always check it out on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, or SoundCloud as well. But yeah, Jared, here we go. 30 minutes to kick off. Final thoughts.
I hate Thursday night games. I don't know. That's the biggest thing. And then I think the second one, I said it too on Tuesday night show on the flagship Bourbon Broncos No BS. Run the damn ball. It's funny. I think, was it 2 or 3 seasons ago? There was like a whole T-shirts made. Like it was like a bunch of people that were on the like run the damn ball train, with the Denver Broncos. And I think we're back on it. And I don't know. I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here, but I don't know what the reason is that we're letting Bo Nix, not letting, but Sean Payton obviously has a lot of faith in Bo Nix to be able to throw more than 30 times a game. And I think all but one game he's thrown more than like 35 times. Mm-hmm. Like that is an absolutely ridiculous stat for a rookie quarterback. We're not getting the run game established. I know a couple of those you couldn't, but like even in the Jets game, like come on, man. Like it was a rainy game. Yeah. Like keep the ball on the ground. Like get the running game involved. Let's get our offensive line on the same page. The other thing I think I've noticed too is not a lot of offensive line movement. Now, none of these things I'm talking about you're going to see this week. You're going to see the same game plan you saw last on Sunday, and I know it's going to scare a lot of people because of how terrible it ended up being. But with a short week, you don't have a lot of time to game plan against a team, and their defense is very similar to the Chargers defense. Their offense is not. So on defensively, we're going to see a little bit more, but offensively, I think you're going to see a lot of the same. Try to establish the run. I mean, not for nothing, we had an average of 3.5 yards per carry, which is not bad. Like, it's not like we abandoned the run game because it wasn't working. We abandoned it because we got down early and we were trying to catch up. So I don't know. I don't like the idea of Bo Nix throwing for 35 times. I think if we can get that closer to, the later 20s, right? 28, 29, maybe early 30s, 31, then I feel a little bit more comfortable. But we need to get the ball to Javonte. We need to get the ball to McLaughlin. Like, we need to be able to get the ball on the ground and run up the gut, run outside, and control the clock. And I think that's what you're going to see a lot of this game, which is why I think it's going to be a little bit of a slow game in the middle.
I'm okay with that either way, as long as the Broncos come out with a win. But
right.
Look, Thursday night on the road too. We haven't had a Thursday night home game in a couple of years, I don't think. Maybe it was. I think it's been 2 years. Anyway, it's always rough, guys. So we'll see what they do. They'll see how they handle the traveling and the pressure and being on the road again. They've done well on the road so far this year, for the most part, minus starting the season. So, is it more of the same, or are we going to see some carryover, hungoverness from last week? I don't know, but I'm excited. I'm hopeful. I'm thinking Bo Nix again has potential to go out there and just light things up. So between him and Javonte, man, this could be a fun show. It could be tough sledding. We'll have to see. But
yeah, I hate to do it to you, but I have a couple more thoughts. So we haven't talked too much about the fact that this is Sean Payton's first time back in New Orleans after the and I know that Amazon is going to absolutely probably, there's going to be all types of stats that we're going to see on there, and they're probably going to do a big thing for him. And historically, we're not great when we take a player and then they go to that team, or a coach and they go to that team. I forget, one of our coaches, we did that. Peyton against the Colts, and then one of our coaches too. I forgot about that. But so the other thing is Clint Kubiak is the offensive coordinator in New Orleans. Obviously grew up in Colorado with his dad, and quarterback coach for the Broncos for a while. So that another kind of like gets to play his old team, which I think is kind of a cool story that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. And not for nothing, he's a good offensive coordinator. He's been doing pretty good things. Obviously, when he had Derek Carr back there, he started the revival of his career, really. Yeah. And so don't be surprised if we see a couple trickery plays on either side, just to kind of like, give a little knife. And now the other thing too is neither team left on like a bad note. It's not like it's not like the Steelers game, right? No, obviously, obviously he didn't play that game, but like, it's not like Russ left on it with a bad taste in our mouth, right? Like
the booing was very loud. Yes.
Yeah. He robbed us tonight. He robbed us. You're not going to see that. Both teams have a lot of respect for the players that are on the other team. So there's that. I think that's kind of a cool part about, the NFL and just sports in general, is that you have that kind of like camaraderie. You're going to see a lot of cheers. They might do a little something special for him, like they did for Peyton Manning, where they give him like before the game, there's some sort of like, hey, thanks for everything. Thank you for bringing the Super Bowl. He was there during Katrina when they were going through all their stuff, and, set up the Superdome, was out there helping. Like, he did a lot of things for that city. So there's going to be a little bit of, emotions involved from his side, but I think he's, a consummate professional, and you think he's going to be able to do his job and go out there and take the win for Denver. I think that'd be huge for him. So yeah. I just wanted to mention that. I know we hadn't mentioned it. You're probably going to hear it all from Amazon when you watch the game, but I did want to mention that. I think it's kind of a cool thing. It is.
And it'll be fun to see what stats they have. And you're right. Just hopefully he walks away with the win, just for his own little, makes him feel good about himself. So,
yeah.
Well, hey, man, thanks for joining me. As always, it's a pleasure talking to you. Everyone in the comments, it's always good talking to you guys too. Remember, we'll be live at halftime, breaking everything down. If you can't see the game because it's on Amazon or stuff, we'll be breaking it down there so you can check in and see what we're all saying and what we're hoping for. So, I don't know, Jared, I got nothing left to say. I think we can only end it, as we always do, on a very strong Go Broncos.
Broncos. Let's go.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Do what I like. Yeah, I do what I like. Yeah, I do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right. And I go with the flow. Yeah, I go with the flow. Yeah, I go with the flow. Cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go. In the zone.